even share out. We want to share the knowledge, share the wealth. So I am so glad that so many of us are able to join this session today, which is a part of our Restorative Justice Campfire series. I have a moment to introduce the work of the Community Restorative Justice Hubs in just a moment. But this particular session here, you all, is about walking together. It's about accompaniment. And we're going to talk about that through the lens of restorative justice related practices that really help us to accompany folks well. You all, this is a campfire. And why are we choosing to call it campfire? Well, to us, restorative justice is more than just policy and process. It's about gathering. It's about storytelling. It's about relationship building. So, you all, just like a campfire, this is a place of warmth, okay? A place where we get to be and meet and bring our full selves, and we're met with care. This is a place where we get to tend embers. If you ever been at a campfire and you see the little fire sparks or the embers, we get to tend those. And for us in the restorative justice
Mhm.
space, those are those small practices that keep our fire alive, that keep the work alive. So this is a place where we get to tend those. This is a place of reflection, you all. A place where wisdom gets to be shared across roles, across generations, and across experiences. And just like a campfire and just like a restorative justice circle, it's a circle of voices, a place where each of us on this call has something to offer. So, welcome to the campfire. I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad we are going to be warming up and tendering our embers of practice. I always like to start everything by just doing a temperature check. You all, I don't really know you. You don't know me. You don't know what my day has been like, my week
She's
has been
American,
like,
right?
and I don't
Mhm.
know the same for you. So, in that, I want to acknowledge that no matter what our day, our week has been like, we found ourselves in this same room at the same time, looking to do the same similar work. And that in itself is powerful. I want to encourage you to take note of your body in this moment. There is always room for rest. There is always room for stillness, right? There's room for us to sit and just be with ourselves.
You under
I don't know,
pressure?
I don't know about you all, but this is the first moment in my day where I actually am putting my hand at my heart and saying, wow, I'm actually breathing. I feel my heart beating. It didn't ask me to do any work. It is just moving, it's doing its thing. And I want to invite you all to take that same moment of stillness to recognize that you are here. Maybe I invite you into some few deep breaths in this moment, right? A moment where you are just feeling within your body. Take this moment for you. The other
I
thing
wasn't
that I want to
so.
encourage you to do in this moment is to just think of a number. Think of how you feel. Maybe like on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Just think about how you're feeling in this moment. Get a number in your head. Get a number in your head for how you're feeling. And what we're going to do is actually put that number in the chat. Don't do it yet. We're going to all release it at the same time. But get a number based off of how you're feeling right now, right? Get it in your head. Get it in your head. Think about how you're feeling. Get that number in your head. I want you to type it in the chat, but don't hit send yet. Between 1 and 10, get that number. Go ahead and type it, but don't hit send. Okay, let me get my number. Okay, I got my number. Okay, everybody got their number? Give me a thumbs up. Give me I got my number. I'm ready. Okay, cool. We got our number. I'm gonna count to three and we're gonna release our numbers. All right. One, two, three. How we feeling, y'all? How we feeling? All right. Look at those numbers populate. Take a moment, stroll up if you need to. Let's see how folks are coming into this space feeling. Seeing some eights, some nines, some sevens, quite a bit of fives, right? Surprisingly, I don't see anybody at this moment that's going lower than five. So I want to celebrate that in this moment. And I also want to say that we did this out of a scale of 10. So there is room for us that's riding on that higher end of 8 and 9 and 10 to show some energy and grace, lots of grace to those who are maybe riding fives, okay? So, with that being said, my last little housekeeping before we dig into this good work at the campfire is to just say honor your bodies, honor what you need in this moment, right? So, if that means you want to be screen off, do what serves you well. If that means you want to have your screen on, do what serves you well. I love that comment in the chat. The wildest meeting I've ever attended. Okay, I love that. So yes, do what serves you well. I also want to just encourage us. We are so busy all the time. And that is a society we live in, a society that keeps our wheels turning and keeps us having to produce another email, produce another thing, produce another program, produce more funding. I want to invite as many of you all as possible to try to step away in this moment from producing. And I want to invite you to be in the moment. So for you, if that looks like closing out extra tabs on your screen right now, if that looks like really taking a pause to be present, I invite you to do so. All right. My name is Carlin Bowens, and I have the awesome privilege of facilitating this campfire with you. Apart from that, I serve as the the Community Restorative Justice Hub's manager. I have the privilege of working alongside six amazing community-based organizations. Some are represented on this call right now. Circles and Ciphers is in the house. There's some representation from New Life in the house. My colleagues are on this call, and we're going to have a good time in this work. I want to tell you a little bit more about what we do. The Community Restorative Justice Hubs have an awesome mission, you all, that is rooted in the restorative justice philosophy of saying our work is about creating safe and healthy community spaces. And these spaces are particular for either disconnected or court-involved youth to really come in, and adults to come in and experience the things that we all want, the things that we all seek: belonging, healing, opportunity, positive transformation. That's our mission. That is the work that we are rooted in. How do we do it? Who are we? Well, we're a network. We're a network of community-based organizations that are primarily in Chicago's neighborhoods who have been most impacted by violence and systematic harm. In our various roles, our organizations, which you see highlighted down at the bottom, organizations like Also, Circles and Ciphers, Kenwood Oakland Community Organizations, New Life Centers, Precious Blood, Target Area, in their work, they're rooted in being trauma informed, they're rooted in creating safe space, and they're rooted in providing opportunities for reconciliation, healing, and growth. No matter what their exact mission and work is, it all is boiling right back down to those things. So we are in this collaboration to build stronger, healthier communities with restorative practice at the forefront of the work. And guess what? I'll share with you later, but there's opportunities for you to join this collective. We want you to be a part of it. We want to hear from you. We want to build this network. We want to be expansive in sharing the resources, the beauty of all of this positive transformation. This work could not be possible without Aller University's Institute on Public Safety and Social Justice and the Resource Center of our juvenile courts. So together we make up this work, and we're doing amazing things together. Later on, I'll also highlight a couple other amazing programs Um, Mary, I don't know if you're directly responding to me or everyone, but I love it. I'm here for it. Yes, please join the volunteer corps. I love this. I love this. But yes, later on, I would definitely share more about some of the work that the Institute for Public Safety and Social Justice is doing and give you all opportunities to plug in. So that's a little bit about who we are. Today, you all, we are definitely going to check in a little bit more thoroughly, and I'll walk through the agenda. But now that we know how we all are feeling mentally and how we're coming into this space, I have a question for you. And I would love it if we could just unmute and have a conversation around this for a moment. But I would love to know, I want to encourage you to think of someone who has truly accompanied you. This session is all about accompaniment. So think of someone that's truly, truly accompanied you. This could be have happened later, recently, right? Who really walked alongside you when you really needed support. What did they offer that made you feel seen and cared for? I'm going to mute and I'm going to trust that the community can just sort of unmute and really piggyback off this storytelling for a little bit. And feel free to also use the chat. All right, whoever wants to go, you're welcome to share. Yeah, go ahead, Aaliyah.
So I should say,
All right, we're going with Michael or we're going with Aaliyah? Aaliyah raised her hand. Aaliyah, we'll hear from you, and then Michael would love to hear from you on this as well.
I would say honestly, this week, I had a situation happen with my phone. This is my first week at Cook County, and I come from community organizing, but I basically had a terrible encounter where my phone was stolen and I had no way of getting like around. And I gotta say, one of the community organizers that I have a relationship with, Dolly Sherman, looked out for me, supported me, and encouraged me. And that made me feel cared for. Even like hearing the feedback from Austin saying, like, we got you, and even giving me encouragement in this role.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. All right, Michael, you ready? Denise also posted in the chat as well.
this is all cut
Just
up.
give him a second. He's getting
This
back
clear?
to his electronic apparatus.
Okay.
You can hear me?
All right. Okay. All right. Joel, I wanted to say, I think I seen you unmute as well, maybe. Joel, please pronounce, help me make sure I'm saying your name right as well. And as you all are getting going, I'm gonna read some of these beautiful accompaniment stories in the chat here. Denise, thanks, Kim. I have to come to you too. Denise is shouting out her sister Danielle Moore, right? She's been a good support and a shoulder these last couple of weeks. Hey, Jason, so glad you made it. Oh, T T gets a chat. T gets a shout out in the chat. Grateful to say only meeting you had today. Yes, and you're fully present. I love that. No other tabs. Let's go. Shout out to your manager, T. We're definitely represented from the Office of Social Emotional Learning. Shout out to you all, the RJ team there doing amazing work within schools. Jason says you've been the person that's been really supportive holistically and loves him with a true accountability and growth. That is so, so beautiful. Yes, Andrew as well. Shout out to him. Thank you. Hey, Ken, you came off. I saw your hand. Who's been accompanying you lately?
Hey everyone. Sorry, there's some traffic here.
You're
A good
good.
friend of mine is a restorative justice practitioner in Humble Park on the northwest side, and he's been able to really help guide and validate some feelings I had and some of these in certain times politically and just in the neighborhood, feelings of uncertainty, but really help walk and support the frustration and joy in the seasons. And not saying whether it's right or wrong or how to deal with it, but more so just walking together through this journey. So I've been very grateful for Carlos.
Shout out to Carlos. Oh, to Carlos. Thank you, Ken. I want to give you a shout out too, Ken. Ken is from New Life, which is one of our restorative justice hubs, doing some amazing work in Pilsen. Little, yeah. So shout out, shout out, shout out. Thank you so much for the work that you all are doing. I appreciate it. Thank you all for continuing to use the chat to share. I love that both Danielle and Denise are on the call and y'all are shouting each other out. Shout out to my amazing supervisor, Elena. I see you in the chat. I'm so grateful that you have a community of wise women who surround you. Let's give our ode to Barbara and Naomi, that's really been holding space for you with their vision, their expertise, and their support. Let's keep this going. I think so often we are in positions of where we are accompanying other people, whether that be young people, our staff, and we don't always get to take time to step back and recognize who's holding us in the work, and where we are finding our support systems and our energy from. So I'm so glad that we could name some folks that is a part of this as well. Thank you all for engaging in that. All right, we got a cool agenda today. You know, I tried to be as descriptive as I could on Eventbrite, but I left some stuff out on purpose because it's going to be a good time. So we are gathered around the fire right now. Imagine this campfire is lit. We are here. And as we gather around, we're going to first start off with a small, some of you all have engaged in previous sessions, but we're going to start off with a small intro. What is RJ? What is restorative justice? And then we're going to get into exploring one of the restorative justice hub's core pillar. Okay. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to fuel our flames. We're going to make it even hotter in here because we get a chance to hear from Anne-Marie Brown, who is co-executive director at Circles and Ciphers and is another restorative justice practitioner. So we get to be in conversation with her. I'm going to go back and forth with some conversation and dialogue, but we're going to spotlight her and learn all about how Circles and Ciphers is really building that space towards accompaniment. And then in all of our sessions, we always leave you with a tool, something that you get to practice. So I'm going to introduce a tool to you all that's going to allow you to reflect on your own organization's RJ practices. You'll be able to identify some areas of strength, some areas of growth. You'll be able to name those areas where accompaniment is happening in your work. And then we'll end by carrying the torch. I give the torch to you to think about how you could carry this work forward. How does that sound, everyone? How does that sound? Is there anything else that you all want to add to the agenda? Anybody that's like, I came here because I needed to talk about this thing, and I don't see it on the agenda. Anything else we need to add? We feeling
One
good?
case, please.
All right. I am going to ask,
I'm pretty
just
sure I'm
because we
muted,
are
okay?
recording. Yeah, just because we are recording, I am going to ask that we mute, but I'm not trying to silence anyone. So at any point you want to come off of mute and share, please do your thing. This is conversation and we can treat it as such. Thank you all. So here we are gathering around the fire to talk about restorative justice. There are so many people on this call who I know I look up to as experts. It's a tall title, but experts in this work and in this field. And I think together we can come up with so many ways that we name restorative justice, that we talk about it, that we define it. But I think for me, it's always important that we give ode to traditional cultures, that we give ode to indigenous groups and practices that have really brought this work into fruition. And we start there in the practice. One of the things that I love to just bring to the forefront are the ode to the indigenous teachings, the 7 assumptions that I really feel like ground restorative justice at its core. When we think about restorative justice, we think about what it means to be in right relationship, not just with each other, but with ourselves, with the land around us, with who we are as people. So I love having these 7 assumptions on the screen. And what I'm actually going to do is I need 7 volunteers. I want us to really like take our time and read through these. If I could have someone to just unmute and we can popcorn these 7, but I think it's powerful to just lift up and voice what these are saying. Thanks, Jason. He got us at number 7. So can I have somebody that kick us off with the very first one? Just unmute, and we'll go from there.
The true self in everyone is good, wise, and powerful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The world is profoundly interconnected.
Beautiful.
All human
Great.
beings have a
All
deep
human
desire
beings
to be
have
in
a
a good
desire.
relationship.
Thank you both.
All human beings have gifts, and everyone is needed for what they bring.
Awesome.
Everyone we need to make a positive change is already here.
Human beings are holistic.
Thank you. All right, Jason, close us out.
We need practices to build habits of living from the core self.
All right. I'm gonna
Ashe.
just Ashe, yes. I'm gonna allow us to just sit with these for a second. Feel free to read back over them. Let your eyes fall where they fall. Yeah. Anybody want to unmute and share one that's really resonating with them in this moment?
I would say 4. All human beings have gifts, and everyone is needed for what they bring.
Yeah, we are in alignment. That's where my eyes went today too. Thank you. Anyone else?
I think number 3 is so important because it feels like we're so divided. And if we think about even on a biological level, like all human beings have a deep desire to be in good relationship. And I I have faith in that, and it brings me forward a lot of days when I start getting really sad about the world.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mm, Thank you all for sharing. Yeah. Land acknowledgements are definitely powerful ways to ground ourselves in this, and they are so important as well. Thank you all. So when I really think about restorative justice at its core, it is coming back to this idea, this mindset, this practice of right relationship. How do we live into it? How do we cultivate this? Where are we in this journey? And I also think about right relationship being in so many different aspects, right? It's never just one sort of relationship. There are so many choices that really shape our relationships, right? And we're often 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 decisions away from really shifting towards right relationship or even shifting away from right relationship, right? So I got some random examples here on the screen, but when we think about our relationship with ourselves, these are some scenarios that maybe some of us can resonate with. But anybody ever just felt super exhausted, but you told yourself that like you were really going to finish that project? Like you were really going to lean into that. You had a deadline for yourself. Anybody been there before? Because
Every
that
day.
was me. Yeah, that was me, right? Every day. And even in that moment of thinking about, am I in right relationship with my body right now? there are typically so many different paths that we could go. And I'll even say that these two paths aren't even the only path, right? I'm not here to tell you right and wrong and what to do and what not to do, right? But there are paths where, in thinking about the relationship with ourselves and the choice that we make, there are worlds in which we sometimes just push ourselves to get it done, right? We feel in control, we feel powerful, we kept our commitment, da da da, you fill in the blank. And there are other paths or other moments when maybe we do just decide to shut the laptop down. Maybe we do decide rest, even if that means we miss that deadline that we set for ourselves. I don't know to tell you that there is one right way or a wrong way, but I say that every day we're making choices that impact what it looks like to be in right relationship, whether that is with ourselves, or here's another example, with a loved one. Maybe someone close to us says something that was hurtful. Maybe you feel disappointed and you're unsure of how to respond, right? In one way, maybe you back down. Maybe you take space without explaining. You just like, I'm gonna just leave that alone. Or maybe in another way, you actually reach out and you name what you experience. Or maybe it's a combination of it both. You give it some time and then you reach out. But we have these moments of choice that shape our relationship with ourselves, with people we love and we hold dear to us, and also with our community, right? When there is harm that may have been done or caused in community, maybe a comment was made that stirs some discomfort or some harm. We can take a mental note and maybe we address it privately later. Or maybe we pause the conversation and we invite that reflection in the moment. Moments of choice and how we choose to be in right relationship with one another. Let me pause it for a second. How is this sitting with y'all? How is this landing? What's coming up for us? Anything at all?
Definitely agree with like the relationship with community. Um, that's the one that sticks out the most to me. Because however your relationship is with your community is also will affect you. And so for me, the way I keep going is literally the support of my community. Even in this work, when I feel tired, because outside of just doing this is my first week. So technically I can't even say I've been doing this, but I do restorative justice with the kids outside of here. And, you know, on the days it gets tiring, like being able to lean on other community stakeholders and get words of encouragement and support, that's what helps me keep going.
Thank you, Leah. No, I resonate with that, and I appreciate you naming that for real. Laura, your point in the chat exactly is where we're headed, right? There's no prescriptive approach. It depends. It really depends. I don't know, this image ain't coming through for me, and I'm kind of sad about that, but let me see. Let me see. Yeah, it's not coming through. I had a cool image right there. I'm gonna find it and show y'all later. But anyway, even when we want to choose connection or repair, the path isn't always clear. Our decisions are shaped by so many things, our mindset, our nervous system, right? Power, identity, institutional culture, systemic injustice. And if we're honest, sometimes we're just doing the best that we can in the moment that we have, right? Shout out to the book, Rest is Resistance. I totally recommend. If you all have not read that, someone just shouted that out in the chat. I'll even send y'all my book notes on it. It is an incredible read. So the path is not always clear. And it definitely is not always clear when we're talking about big systems. When we're looking at things from a traditional justice standpoint, that typically asks us, what happened? Who are we blaming in this moment, right? What law or rule was broken? What's the punishment? Coming from a system where this is our framework, and that unfortunately I can only speak for myself, I have bought into so many times of saying, oh, my friend just made me mad, I could blame her and she didn't uphold this boundary and do this thing, right? And the punishment is going to be like, we can't be cool no more, right? We buy into these systems. But on the opposite end, on that restorative lens, we get to ask some of the similar questions. We still want to know what happened. because the story is important. The reason why is important. But this time we're wanting to know who is involved, not just the person that may have caused some harm, but also the person that was harmed, right? What actually happened? And how do we make it right? What do we need? I would say one of the number one questions within restorative justice is what do we need? What do we need to get back in right relationship with one another? What do we need? So this is the difference in approach, right? When we're looking at this particular work. It is a powerful, powerful lens that we get a chance to look at. And us here at the Community Restorative Justice Hubs, we hold these particular core pillars at the front of our work. We had a session already on radical hospitality. If you weren't here, I'm sorry you missed it. It is recorded. I can send it to you. But we had Pamela Purdue from Precious Blood come in and talk about what it looks like to be radically hospitable, right? And supporting young people. And today is all about accompaniment. How are we really walking with? I got you. I got you. It was so good. But how are we really walking with young people? And I need you all to stay tuned because July, we're going to tap into building relationships. And after that, we're going to tap into relentless engagement. And after that, we're going to really think about how do we invite each other into this beautiful learning community. So these are our core pillars, our pillars in this work. To help define it even further, the way in which the Community Restorative Justice Hubs thinks about accompaniment of youth and adults on their journey means that a caring, responsible adult serves as a role model on that person's journey. Through the obstacles, they're helping to weather life's storm. They're offering the support, the advice, the advocacy, and the education. That is how the Restorative Justice Hub sort of looks at what accompaniment looks like, but that's us as a collective. I actually want to turn this around for the next 20 or so minutes to one of our hubs in particular. I don't know what my images ain't coming through. But I want us to have a conversation on walking together with Anne Marie Brown, who is co-executive director at Circles and Ciphers. If there is a way that I could spotlight you right now, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You're gonna get the big screen because you are important in this work, in this conversation. And I just want to dialogue with you for a little bit and talk about the incredible work that your organization is doing. And I'm gonna also try to fix this screen because I had a cool image here. Anne Marie, I'm gonna turn it over to you. If you want to just kind of check in real quick, how you feeling? What do you do? What's your org? Give us like the big stuff, the highlights, and then we could dig deeper. Cool.
Lovely. Got you. Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you for your energy in the meeting too. I think it's carrying us along the way. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amory Brown. I am currently the co-executive director at Circles and Ciphers. I've been working at Circle Ciphers for 8 years now. So a while at this point. And I really started because my sister was incarcerated and she was pregnant at the time with twins. And I didn't know anything about restorative justice, just like possibly some of you all. Very new to it, had no idea what a peace circle was. But she decided to just carry me to a circle at Circles and Ciphers one day. And that was the first circle I experienced, and that was 2017. That was summer 2017. And the first circle I went to, I was like, wow, what is this? What is this? What is restorative justice? And it really was the start of kind of my journey into this world. And so Circles and Ciphers is a restorative justice organization. We are based in Rogers Park, which is north side of Chicago, for folks who aren't familiar with the city. And we basically do the work through restorative justice and hip hop. And so we work with young people that are ages 18 to 29. And we really just honestly walk with them, build healthy relationships with them to be able to help them through the different things they're going through. Most of the young people we work with have been impacted by violence. So gang affiliation, incarceration, homelessness, all types of violence. And we really walk with them through our 4 program areas. And so those program areas look like uh, creative arts, wellness, mutual aid, and creative arts, wellness, mutual aid, and youth leadership. And so through those program areas, we really provide them with a whole bunch of opportunities to be able to be involved in peace circles, but lead, which is super important. Have them lead, walk with them through getting their basic needs met, walk with them through learning how do you become a restorative artist? What is that? What does that look like? We have a in-house recording studio that we built with the young people and they're recording music. We have a music video out now. I can send the link in the chat for y'all to check it out. We have a mixtape that we created with the young people. Another one coming out, another music video coming out in a couple weeks. So we do a plethora of things, but so excited to be with you all today and really kind of talk about like what does it really look like to walk with young people, especially the ones that are most impacted in this city.
Beautiful. I appreciate that introduction. And you've been in this work for a while, and I'm so grateful for Circles and Ciphers and the work that you all are doing. I want to get to it a little bit. Like when we talk about walking alongside someone, right? Walking alongside the young people that you get to support through Circles and Ciphers, what does that mean in practice? Like we don't want to hear theory, we want to hear the practice. What does that look like, whether in the day to day?
Yes, absolutely. So, to be honest, it is a hard journey. It is a hard journey because how we walk with young people is not just by giving them resources or giving them things. You really have to be with them. For example, a young person may need an ID. We don't just give them the money or say, hey, this is how you get an ID. If you've been incarcerated for 5, 10 years and you've never gotten an ID or you haven't gotten one since you're a kid, you don't know how to go to get an ID, make an appointment. What documents you're supposed to bring, right? So we go with them. And so that is an example of accompaniment. When they are having emergencies, we get so many emergencies throughout the year where young people, they may not have food or a way to get to a shelter or may not know where the next meal is coming from or what they're going to do in terms of income. All these things that come up, they may have gotten to a fight, they may have gotten locked up. So in those instances, we really have to walk with them through the process. For example, again, let's say a young person gets locked up. We haven't talked to them in a day or a week, and we're like, okay, where's this young person, right? So we look in the system, we realize they're locked up, or they call us, they say, hey, we're locked up, we don't know what to do. We'll try and get a lawyer to talk to them immediately to figure out what their case is looking like. We'll go to their court date to make sure they feel supported and they feel like somebody is with them and walking with them because sometimes they don't have family or friends or anyone to really be with them. So it's really the intentionality of doing versus giving. And that is real true accompaniment. The last thing I will say is building real relationships with them. All the young people that we work with, they are my brothers and sisters and my young brothers and sisters. We talk about all types of things, when they have things come up, hey, I just got a job today. They're calling me, or I'm like, man, I just released my fashion brand, a piece from fashion brand. I'm talking to young people about that. They're like, what does that look like? So really is just like you have a relationship with your sister, your brother, people in community. It's really having true relationships with them and allows for a shared accountability. It allows for shared storytelling. It allows for just a whole bunch of things that come with having a relationship with anybody. So it's really that true, deep relationship with them.
Oh, I appreciate you naming that. And I want to name because I feel like, especially in like the social service, my background is mostly in social work, and there's such a stigma of like you start your journey with walking hand in hand, but then that's just the work in the mud, right? Like you don't always have to do that, right? Like those are the beginning careers that you have in social work of walking hand in hand. But to your point, like true and deep accompaniment, it goes beyond a title. It goes beyond a role. It really is being able to meet your person, your participant, your young person, your family, right? That adult, where they are in real time. And I think that's a very real thing to just acknowledge. And also, I'm so curious of how you just stay present, right? I think, especially when we're doing this work within systems that are harmful and overwhelming. So, how do you stay present when it comes to accompaniment?
Yeah, that is a beautiful question. In all transparency, I think that has probably been the hardest part of the journey.
Mm,
Honestly, because oftentimes as people that are doing this work, as you all may know, you're giving so much and you're giving so much of yourself that
mhm,
sometimes you forget, oh, like I need to be taken care of too. And so there's a few ways that I kind of address it. I think one, having wellness as a pillar in your organization. And that means not just the young people, but you all too. So our staff all are responsible for having wellness plans. In order to work here, you have to have a plan on what is your week to week wellness look like? What does it look like every single day so that you can maintain wellness for yourself? Another thing that we have is Dr. Perry, amazing psychotherapist that we've been able to work through the hubs for many years. Yes, self-care is key, super key. And we've been able to work with her for years. And she used to give every month we used to have access to a therapy session with her to talk about, some of the things we're going through in the work or some of the things that we're just going through in our personal life. And all of our staff is small, so it's more accessible for us. Our staff right now is a staff of 6. Um, and so she was able to meet with everyone every single month to just check in with them if they needed it. So little things like that. Also, checking in. Every single week, we have 2 meetings with our staff, but those meetings are a culmination of check-ins, making sure we're okay, and then we talk about the business, you know? So you have to deeply root it into the how your organization operates. I think other than that, me personally, sometimes I have to disconnect. It's important to disconnect. So I have a certain time every day. Sometimes I get emergency calls after that 5 o'clock, but after a certain time, I'm cutting it off. You got to cut it off because sometimes I've gone to sleep with it. We'll have a high emergency that happened and it's hard to me for my mind to settle, but I've had to do transition activities, right? Watch a little TV, listen to some music, cook, have those little things ingrained so that you are separating from the work. But all in all, I will say that burnout it can happen, but in order for it to not happen, really, yes, dance. I love that. Dance. I love to dance. Dance is a good one. And so whatever that is for you, use those things and make sure that you are taking care of yourself as a person first, because if you are not full, then you can't give the work out. It's like giving support out from an empty cup. You have to make sure that you're full such that you have something to give. So it's important to take care of yourself.
absolutely. To your point, we can't pour from that empty cup. So I appreciate you naming that. I want to kind of shift the conversation a bit to talking about trust, right? Like it's not as easy as just saying, I got this young person on my caseload and I got to do da da da. No, right? Where does trust really fall into this work? Are there practices that you've learned over time building trust with the young people that you work with? Especially young people who may have been deeply let down or harmed by institutions. So I'm curious of where trust fits into this for you.
Yes, that is a great question, Carlin. So I think trust, honestly, is one of the key things in order to have a healthy relationship. Think about the relationship with anybody in your life, right? A mother, a sister, etc. Those relationships can be great examples of what trust look like. So for us, one of the things that is important and vital for me and that I tell my staff is that you have to show up. You have to show up. And if you tell a young person that you're going to do something, do it. Because in institution and in their upbringing, in their childhood, they've had so many people that have let them down, that have told them, I was going to be there for you. A lot of our young people, this is the first time they're experiencing what a healthy relationship looks like. A lot of times they've never had one, right? And so part of a healthy relationship is you have to show up. So if you are in a space that, sometimes I've been in a space where I've told a young person, hey, I'm going to meet with you this day, etc. But I just got super busy and I didn't get to it, right? I hold myself accountable. I tell them, hey, I knew I was supposed to meet with you today. I am sorry. I did not get to meet with you, but let's reschedule a time. That's on me, right? So accountability. You're not in the space. A lot of the young people I'm working with, they're younger than me, all the young people, but that doesn't matter. I respect them and as human beings, and I respect the relationship we have. So I allow them to also hold me accountable. And that is what creates trust, right? So I think overall, those are the two main things I think that I do to create trust. And I think engagement and accompaniment long term too. I think that's something Carlin talked about, like not just being there with them those first 5, 6 months. If a young person just got out of jail, you heavy are supporting them for 5, 6 months, and then you just let go, sometimes they revert back to what they were doing, right? So that trust is built through long-term engagement. I think that there's young people. I have a young person right now. He has been locked up and now, but he was one of my first young people I worked with 8 years ago. And he still to this day calls me sister. You know what I mean? He'll call me if he needs something. And sometimes I do have to put boundaries up, right? But all these years later, I'm still able to have a relationship with him, right? And that is hard to do, because we're all doing so much. But long-term engagement is super important to building that trust. Always showing up, always showing up.
Oh, absolute long-term engagement, and I think is key. And I also think presents challenges too when we're working in organizations where there's turnover, right? So it's like navigating that piece as well. Yes, you all post questions in the chat if you have them. Aaliyah, I'm grateful for your question in the chat that we could pose to Anne Marie. How do you bridge trust with youth and organizations when there's been distrust? So really talking about that restorative piece. What would you say to that?
So again, I'll go back to accountability, right? So if a young person is coming to you and saying, "Hey, I don't trust you all didn't show up for me," um, healing that conflict, healing that harm that happened. So being intentional, that could look like having, for us in real time, that would look like sitting down with the young person and having possibly a circle with the people that caused them that harm, and the young person. Or it doesn't have to be a circle, it just can be a meeting, in a safe space where you're able to talk about what does that harm look like and then talk about what does support look like moving forward. So have a verbal, we like to do written, some sort of written agreement that documents, hey, this is what we're both agreeing to on both ends. If you can't do that, at least a verbal agreement of, hey, this is what it will look like moving forward for us to show for you and hold us accountable to that. So I think it is okay to cause harm to young people. I think the honest truth is I have, what I mean? The org has in different ways, but it is okay. That's just human nature. That's having any relationship in your life. Harm will be caused, right? But if you realize that harm and create space for both parties to be accountable and to talk through it in a safe way, in a way they feel heard, I think that's the most important thing, making sure they feel heard, especially when it's young people, even though they are younger than us, making sure you feel heard and whatever you're saying is valid and creating a safe space for that. So I would just say harm will happen, but making sure you're creating space to heal that. And that's the most important thing to do when trust has been broken and continue to show up
Yeah.
after that has been healed.
Yeah, I have a good friend. I think we just shouted him out a little earlier, Andrew, who once said, like, we all could cause harm unintentionally, but we can intentionally repair that. Like there are things that we can do intentionally to really repair that harm. Mary has a great question in the chat as well. And we are going to wrap up from this section because I want to offer you all a tool as well before we go. But Mary has a good question around how do we deal with all the pain? And I think this is a really good question because in our line of work of accompaniment, right? Like vicarious trauma is real. Like secondary trauma is a very, very real thing. So I'm curious how you might go about responding to Mary's question. And any
Yes.
other questions in the chat, please go ahead, y'all.
Yes, great, great, great question, Mary. I just recently learned, I think a year ago, about what you talked about calling secondary trauma. So you're taking in all this trauma from young people, and it's not necessarily yours, but you take it on. How do I deal with the pain? Therapy, one, therapy, therapy has worked a lot for me. Two, disconnecting the young people's story in their life and their trajectory and not connecting it with mine. So I have to realize that I am not I'm not, tasked with healing them, but I'm helping them get to a space of healing, because that is a lot to put on myself. That's a lot to put on any human being to say that your harm and your trauma is mine. That is so much to put on you. Because imagine I've worked with so many young people. Imagine if I took everyone's trauma as mine. I want to have space for the healing. So I think you have to intentionally create the separation and not taking in their trauma and what they're going through as yours, but create space and opportunity to help them heal and go through it. Yes, empathy without burning. Great, 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 grateful. I love that.
Any other questions or thoughts? Let's now, I'm gonna unpin you for a second, Anne-Marie, and we can see everyone here. I'm curious of if they're, yes, Laura, that's resonating with me too. I'm not healing them. I'm getting them to a place. Yes, yes. But yeah, I'm curious if there's any thoughts or big reflections that's coming up for us as a group. Elena, you're off mute. I wasn't sure if you're responding to this.
No, I'm so sorry.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm curious if there are any big reflections, anything that's coming up for us as we talk about this. We talked about what it means to really be in accompaniment, to walk side by side in really the most physical ways. We've talked about the role that trust plays. We've talked about repairing relationships. What else might be coming up for us or questions that we might have? And I'm also curious if yeah, self-care too. We just talked about a lot. I know some of us got to process and think too, so I'm cool with that. I'm also curious if anyone want to share, if anyone's doing any similar work, right? Youth engagement, walking really side by side with young people, any of that similar work. Go ahead, Aaliyah.
I really enjoy this conversation because yes, I'm here, but when people say, "What do you do in your free time?" I train youth in restorative justice. So I do peace circles. I've worked in the past. I was at Austin Coming Together, so we've had hip hop circles from circles and ciphers, and the kids taught me how to get my rapping together. So I love this because, especially the part about building those relationships and that intentionality. When people be like, "Oh, okay, well, what do you do in your free time?" and they hear me say youth, they're like, "That's what you do in your free time?" Yes, I love the kids. In fact, I'm intentional about bringing them to church, or if they have a basketball game, I'm showing up at the basketball game. So I love this because if we're talking about how do we reach the youth, we got to show up where the youth are and be interested in what they're interested in. So I really love this, and I love the work that you all are doing.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share how this sort of shows up in their own world? I know we all are probably doing different work, right? So what does accompaniment look like for you all in your work? All right. Well, if we need more time to think about it, yes, Emery, any last words and reflections that you want to share? I need you to like give a big plug to what's going down next Friday because I'm excited. I'm going to be there, but please give us a plug. Let me see if I could even share a screen on that.
Thank you so much, Carlin. Yeah, so if you are in
Oh, wait, Anne-Marie might have frozen. Can we see her? Or is that just me? Somebody let me know.
No, we can't see her.
Okay. No. Let's see if she comes back. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, she froze. She definitely dropped a few things in the chat for us. She dropped a website to Circles and Ciphers where you all could learn more. She dropped their Instagram page as well. And she dropped the video, which I'm excited. It's a snippet to it. So I definitely encourage you all to check it out. They're doing some amazing work. So she might pop back in just a moment. How did that feel? Like hearing the work of Circles and Ciphers, was that a good conversation? Did we take some things from that? Let me know. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Do a check-in. How we feeling right now? We feeling good? We feeling good? Awesome. I want to leave us with a tool, something that you can take in your own work, right? No matter what you do in your work. I'm calling this the Walking the Path tool. I'm going to share my screen. I dropped it in the chat. I might have to change the permission settings to make sure everyone can see it. So give me a moment as I be my own tech. Be my own tech in this moment. But somebody go ahead and pull up that link and let me know if it works for you. But I'm also going to share my screen and show it as well. And Marie dropped out. She's coming back in now. So we'll see.
Oh, sorry, you all.
No, you're back. You're back. You're good. Okay, you were about to like plug some stuff that's happening at Circles and Ciphers.
Yes, so
Go
sorry.
right ahead.
Yeah, so sorry. Really quickly, we have a mixtape release party coming up next Friday, in the city. And it really will highlight, it's our second mixtape. It is a culmination of music that's been made by all the young people in our space, at our in-house recording studio, Kappa Studios. So the theme is called In Circles We Trust. So the theme is really about creating wealth. What does wealth really look like for our young people, for Circles and Ciphers, so we can continue the work for many, many years, and how young people are learning and understanding what does wealth look like for them, and getting the tools to be able to get that. So in Circles We Trust, if you are in the city, please come. We will be also releasing a snippet of our new music video that is coming out in a couple weeks. So please stay tuned, stay connected with us. I put our IG in there. If you are, I'll put our Facebook in there if you all want to follow us. But thank you all so much for listening and for your time. And thank you for the work that you do as well. And again, next Friday, I believe 6 to 9, I will put the flyer in the chat. That is what I will do. And Carla has it so she can send it through. But thank you all for the work that you all do and taking the time to be here today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be next Friday. That's 7 p.m., right, Anne-Marie?
Okay, 7 to 9. My bad.
7 to 9.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. 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 All right, you all. I want us to spend a few moments with this tool. So I dropped the link in the chat. I should have fixed the permission on it. Let me drop it right back here so you all could see it. My dog is doing what he's doing. I'm gonna let her do what she's doing in the back, so you might hear her barking. But she's cool. So I am going to share my screen and actually show you this tool. It still says request access. Okay, what am I doing? We're gonna figure it out. Share. You might have to refresh. Maybe I'll copy this link here and do this one here. Okay. But you will have to make your own copy so that we're all not on the same documents. Okay, it works. Cool. Here is a tool that you all, if you want, you can practice using now. I'm going to invite you to go up to File and make a copy so that we're not all writing on the same tool, right? So you'll need to do that. But with this is an opportunity for you to treat this like a pathway, right? This is an opportunity for you to think about where accompaniment lies and falls in your work. So the very first part is just all about, who are you walking with? Within your work, within your organization, who are you typically accompanying? What are the lived experience and realities, right, that really shape their journey? I'm going to invite you to really take some time to think about that. And then as you're starting your walk, we get to think about what kinds of support do the people that you accompany often need? How do you know when to step in? How do you know when to step back? Let's keep walking a bit, right? What do you carry with you? This is an opportunity at your org, in your practice, for you to think about what resources, what strengths and tools or relationships do you have to support the accompaniment? Like Anne-Marie says, her org is not just saying, here's a bus card, go ahead and get that ID or go do that thing. No, instead they're saying, we got the resources to actually go with young people to actually make it happen, right? So what tools do you have? How does your role offer support? So these are just a few questions to really help you think through obstacles, and as you're walking, what values are guiding your journey of accompaniment and what's next for you. I'm actually going to give us a little bit of time. We won't have time to go through all of these, but like we've been doing in all of these sessions, I want to invite you to just pick out maybe one or two of these little areas, right? And really ask yourself, how are we doing this work? So maybe you want to start with just thinking about who are you accompanying on this work? Or maybe you want to jump to the bottom and say, what values, right, are grounding your approach to accompaniment? Or maybe you want to look at obstacles. Let me pause here and just ask, does that make sense? I want us to just spend about 5 minutes or so looking at least one of these areas. But it's not going to end here, because I need you to take this back to your team. And as your team, really thinking about your goal and your strategy for accompaniment. Okay, I'm going to pause. How is it sitting? Does this make sense? Everybody got the document? Where we at? Everybody got it? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know this makes sense. Let me know you got the doc. Cool. Seeing some thumbs. Okay. All right. I'm going to give you 5 minutes here. Pick at least one of these areas. Don't forget to make a copy so we're not all on the same sheet. All right. See you in 5. Use this as a bio break if you need it as well. Good. I'm glad, Jason. All right. I'll be back in 5.
Like this, gotta be some of speeds to write this. I ain't seen you in a minute. Wrote this letter. Find each side, and each side sealed the pivot for us to roll together. After this, I spin a slow forever. Know your heart running, but bust does get to you. I ain't gonna talk shit, I probably did it too. Cause if you feel this, I handle with care. Some niggas expected not like they answer the credit. I ain't the type to walk around back in certain relationships. After I will match the work, I want to be the one to make it happen. It's the hurts the most. They say the hemisphere, it's important that we close to the most. God, somebody had no help. That's what I It's important that we communicate to the fake others. You'll get to the right pitch. I never call you from pitch. There's so much in the age, so much more. You understand it, the woman and man, sex and attention, but they assume it man. Fly by night, in the sky, right? It's cold, by night, in the blue by night. The heaven had nights. That's ghetto talk shop. I see that. Let's speak to understand it. People wrong. That a work now, hopes make you call. It's one pray every day, want to get out of prayers, no space. Dance play, expectation, will family. Love ain't simple. I can't be anything from that. Work that can't. Granted, we know each other sometimes. It don't take the whole thing to recognize sunshine. Good shot. Shit like that. Science, big breast, just the such rhymes. That's like one of space with it fast. It's visionary, but I chill with love and happiness. Truthfully, it's hard trying to find yourself. Yes, the time we keep it in love, buzz feels good. Had to be for me to find it. Still feel good. I know the sex ain't gonna keep you, but that's my equal. It's not what must read you. That's my reflection of light. I'ma need you. And whatever's right, I'ma need you. Good job. You watch that, you see my statement.
All right, how we doing, y'all? How we feeling? We got something on the page at least. We got something on the page at least. And Marie, I could make a cipher off of that. You ready? Mm, 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 We got some on the page. We got some on the page. We walking the okay, I quit. I'm gonna just come to y'all and get some lessons. I saw one of the raffles that you all are doing on next Friday is for like a some studio time or just some session time with somebody. Okay. I'm buying all the tickets because they're gonna help me with my accompaniment song. Oh my word. I hope that you all see this as a tool that is actually useful, right? Some pieces to really think through step by step what accompaniment looks like and how it actually shows up. Because I think some of it is thinking about the barriers to accompaniment. Some of it is thinking about what resources our organizations offer and sort of what we need. We will not, unfortunately, have time for breakout groups. We just been having such a fun time. However, I would love for us to just sort of unmute and maybe just do some sharing. I'm curious. If anyone want to just unmute and share a little bit about the work that they do, who are you accompanying, right? How does accompaniment show up in your work? So if anyone want to share.
Thinking about, and this was kind of Anne Marie, when you were sharing earlier, I don't know, I think in hearing you speak, I really appreciated you having a moment to facilitate this space because I think it gave me some just an opportunity to reflect on some of my work. I'm out of Montana, and so I don't really know how I ended up on this call, but alas, I did. But I'm a therapist, and I've worked out of Montana State Prison, centers, and probation and parole. I'm currently working for Montana OPD. So basically trying to figure out like, hey, what do we want social services to look like within public defense? All to say, I came to social work with an RJ lens, and somehow I ended up in the system that is DOC. And what kept me there, what kept me excited about the work was the accompaniment, just being able to walk with and alongside some of my clients. And I think healing some of the institutional harm between client and DOC was so much of my work. And then thinking about some of the barriers there of, right, like, I think I was only able to be in such close proximity to my clients just due to safety and security. Would often have to have an officer in the space. And so that would sort of disrupt or prevent deep therapeutic alliance or relationship at times, but even within some of the obstacles and barriers like that, I don't know, just like some of the human connection that was able to be centered in some of those spaces. Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking about all of this in a tangential way, but Anne Marie, all to say, I just feel like hearing you speak, I'm really reflecting on my experience as a therapist within some of these carceral systems. And I now feel like I kind of have some language to what some of my work has been and continues to be in the criminal legal space. So thank you for being here and facilitating this space and the tool. I'm looking forward to using it.
I just want to say, so I've worked in the youth prisons before, and doing the RJ inside of institution is one of the hardest things to do. So I want to honor what you are doing and continue to encourage you to continue the journey. And I'm sure you're doing amazing and great, and you can still have true and real relationships with those young people, even on the inside. And it seems like that's what you're doing. So thank you so much, because it is hard. I've worked in there, and with the security being present while we're doing these circles, it's hard. It's tough. But please continue to do it because they need you. So thank you.
Thank you. What else is coming up for us that we might want to share and talk about? Megan, I'm seeing you in the chat with your work with adult males and halfway houses. I'm so glad that this is a tool that your team can use to reflect, yeah, what they need along the way. And I also want to encourage you all to not just use this tool with your team, but invite a participant, right? Invite somebody that you actually accompany with to name some of these things as well. It's unfortunate that so many systems have not been designed by us and for us, right? Nothing for us without us, right? Is what I often hear people say. So I want you to involve, right, who you're accompanying on this journey to reflection. So thank you, Megan, for sharing this. Wow, focus client in his 70s. Thank you. I'm curious if anyone want to tackle this second question here on the slide just for fun. If you could redesign your workplace and accompaniment is at the center, where it's like everything we do is grounded in accompaniment, what would be different? Would like the resources you offer be different? Would you level up on something? What's up, Jason?
Hey, Carlin. Great session, by the way. Um, I think that this is something our team internally talks about a lot, and we model it already. I just wish that the rest of like CPS modeled this. So like we really check in and accompany one another in terms of the way we like hold circle space for one another as a team, as a restorative justice team, and like the way that like um I would love to like push and reground like for like really like the things that like we saw from this space, like that I learned from this space of like having like Anne Marie shared about having like a wellness check a wellness plan as a part of like your plan that you check in with your supervisor with and with your team with is like something I would love to see our department do. I think that like again what we were talking about earlier was like grounding in like indigenous values and practice and who we really are. Um, I think that one of the ways that like it's fun, it's cool that like the restorative justice staff that's in Chicago really like they come together as their own community and they hold each other, whether we're there to do it or not. They feed each other, they show up at each other's schools, if someone has a question or a problem, when someone's ill, like everybody's sending well wishes. So it's just like I would want to see that culture that's within that staff expand throughout like um the different departments in the school district that don't operate in that type of relationship. So yeah.
Oh, that's dope. Thanks for naming that. I'm gonna carry that vision with you. I think that's incredible. Thank you. One other person I want to share. If your workplace was redesigned and accompaniment was at the center, what might be different?
I can't go. Hold on. Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
My name is Shirley Wilson. I am a parent liaison for the RTJ program here in Newark, New Jersey. If I could redesign our program, I will most definitely have more housing resources. We do service homeless children as well. But we've also had children who dropped out of the program because they didn't have a stable place to stay. So, oh, and more transportation as well to help, participants get to and from the program safely.
Mm, absolutely. That barrier removal is key. It's like we want young people to show up to programs, and oftentimes, like, are we really budgeting in what's necessary to actually help them to get there and make that happen? Thank you so much for sharing, Shirley. Thanks for joining us in this work today, too.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you.
You all, we are just about out of time, but I really want you to stay connected. I really enjoyed sharing space with you all. I think there are some amazing, we all are such amazing thought houses on this call, and we need to stay together in the work. We need to stay together. I dropped my email here. Email me. I love taking time out for tea. Let's go sit and chat around the intersections of our work. Jessica, you need me to come to Montana? I'm there. Like, you need me to pull up? I've been to Bozeman. I will meet you at a hot springs, girl. I will meet you there. But yes, like let's connect. Let's get time on a calendar. Let's talk about as you all decide to do this tour with your staff. I want to talk through it with you, think through it with you. I am also a consultant, so I put that lens on, and am happy to help you. My coworker Danielle just dropped a link in the chat for the survey. We like feedback. We want your feedback, so please share. Our next session, you all, is going to be July 17th, and we're going to get into talking about our third pillar, which is relationships, right? Like we really do value relationships within the RJ Hubs, and we're going to have some time to really talk about what relationships look like. So if you're free, I want to encourage you to sign up for that. Rooted in relationships, we're going to talk about circles, we're going to talk about mentorship, we're going to talk about that healing space. So I would love for you all to be a part of that conversation and be a part of that work. I'm also going to make a special request for you all. One of our programs within Adler's Institute for Public Safety and Social Justice is our ILCHIP program. This is Illinois Coalition for Higher Education in Prisons. We need all of the support. We need people to know that ILCHIP is here. We need people to know that education in prisons needs to be a thing. We need this. We cannot afford not to have this program. So I want to encourage you in your time to check out LCHIP's website. Danny just dropped it. I dropped the fact sheet. Sign up for their newsletter. Hear about the work that they're doing and why this work is so important. Can I have at least one person just like promise me that they're going to check out that link? At least click on it. Give it a click, something. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You all, it has been such a pleasure connecting with you all today. I will definitely send out this Zoom recording. Give me a day to rest, but I got you. I will have it sent out. Please email me. Let's connect. Let's stay in touch. Let's continue to do the good work. And until next time, I wish you all well. I wish you all rest, and I wish you all so much radical care. Take care, you all. Take care.